Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 9 Arts podcast. A quick reminder for those of you who haven't had the opportunity, check out our State of the Art report. I'm excited to bring those statistics to life through this podcast series where you can hear stories from the people who are making it happen. So, very excited to have Scott Heimes on the show today. We have known Scott and worked with him on a number of different projects that are office related. Scott Heimes is the CMO at a company called Zipwhip that does business texting. And prior to that, he worked at SendGrid, and we had the opportunity to work with him in both of those projects to use art to bring value into the office and really understand the effect that a creative workplace can have on employees, the benefits for recruiting, the benefits for problem solving, and look forward to sharing with you a little bit more about how art can add experience to the normal workplace. So without further ado, let's jump right into the podcast. Make sure to connect with Scott on LinkedIn and check out our State of the Art report. Hope you all enjoy the show. All right, Scott, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here today. Would love to have you tell our listeners a little bit more about what you do and how you work.
Hey, Martha, thanks for inviting me to come on. I'm the chief marketing officer at a company called Zipwhip, which is based in Seattle, Washington. We are a texting for business software and API provider, and we help over 30,000 businesses text back and forth with their customers via our software and over their text-enabled landlines.
So, what do you think about in terms of bringing that brand to life? And how do you use different areas of your office space or your physical environment to manifest those ideas?
Well, building a brand is a holistic exercise that requires you to have the right messages and the right creative experience delivered in all the right channels of engaging customers and acquiring customers, getting them to raise their hand and become part of your company's service. I think that extends into the workplace, and it extends into what your office environment looks like and how it feels, and the sort of the sense of experience that your physical location gives off as it relates to your brand. It's not the only element that matters, but it's an important one. And we invest a lot in our overall office experience. We recently moved into a new location at 300 Elliott Avenue in downtown Seattle. About 75,000 square feet over a floor and a half. And we spent a significant amount of time and effort to try and create an experience inside of our office space that created energy and creativity and a brand experience that we felt reflected Zipwhip's values and its offering. Art, I think, helps create an experience in our office space that fosters elements like collaboration and innovation and enthusiasm, right? Art helps open your mind in unique ways, right? And we're, as a software company that's striving to build unique and differentiated innovation. We aspect of our employees to be thinking creatively and to be open and to be thoughtful about how they're applying themselves every day in the office. And so, one of the reasons that we invested in applying numerous pieces of art throughout our space, which you guys helped us procure and install, is for that very reason. It helps, create an environment that fosters creativity and innovation and openness, which, as a company that's striving to accomplish all those things, helps us achieve it.
That's great. Are there one or two art experiences that you can think of that you felt have driven some major impact in those spaces in particular, or ones that stand out that are more meaningful for you?
Yeah, we had some great pieces inside of our space at 300 Elliott. In our lobby, which is kind of a power experience where you walk in, and you can look out over Puget Sound, and you see some amazing sunsets, and just has this sort of experience of awe when you walk in there. We have a really powerful piece, and a neon piece that Dylan Newworth did for us that really helps create a unique sense of kind of energy and innovation feeling inside of there. It's really really powerful. We've got a number of photographs and paintings and other and sculpture inside the space, all of which I think helps employees as they're walking through. They often will pause and look at the art, and that experience of searching for meaning and insight into a creative piece of art. That's exactly the kind of mindset that we want everyone from engineers to marketers to accountants to be approaching their job. So I think it's helpful in terms of creating this aura, this environment around openness and creativity.
Yeah, that's cool. Kind of thinking of ways to open up activity in different parts of your mind and create conversation and collaboration among your team, utilizing different tools, like things that might be outside the box.
That's right. And art is it sparks inspiration. It helps you think outside the box. It makes you look at the world in a unique way, flipping things around often, or trying to unravel what the artist was getting at with with their work. To me, that sort of experience, that mindset, that opening is exactly the kind of mindset they're trying to foster. It's a great, we have lots of events at our space, obviously pre-COVID, a lot more than we do right now, but that feels like it's coming back. And the ability for us to leverage our space as an event space is a really powerful tool too. And that enables us to open up our experience and the art that we have in the office to the community. And that even broadens the appeal and the awareness and helps contribute and elevate our brand in the same vein.
Well, I can definitely see that there's a great tool and asset in elevating your brand in a unique way that becomes really memorable for people who are visiting or for the people who work there. I'm really curious to get your take on how you all have handled this current environment and any thoughts you have for the future on what a return to work looks like.
Well, it is a hot topic indeed. We expect, I think, like a lot of employers, that the future is going to hold a unique kind of hybrid mix of what's been going on. So I think that particularly in our business, building software, technology innovation, um, there's a lot of productivity enhancements that happen actually from a healthy work from home experience. It just becomes second nature to be able to participate remotely, and I think that offers a lot of advantages. I also think that there'll be less intensity about having employees be local in Seattle, and that will be more comfortable with a larger percentage of remote employees in our teams, um, due to the comfort level of remote working. It has the disadvantage of not being locally, and so trying to find that balance between the benefit of being together in place in an environment that is well designed and has things like art in it that contributes all the benefits we've been talking about today, with the sort of flexibility, productivity enhancement, and sort of fluidness of remote working tools. So we'll navigate that uncertain future over the next 6 months, and it'll be interesting to see how people sort of vote with their behavior, and if indeed the lure of the office brings more and more people back, and it becomes more like it was before, more quickly than I suspect. What we're going to see.
So, one thing I noticed in what you were describing is vote with your behavior. I love that phrase. It almost makes it sound as if the office space becomes more important to create a really distinctive and unique culture experience because you're not going to be there as often, right? You might be there for a concentrated period of time, but with so much flexibility, really almost seems like socializing, innovation, and nurturing could become priorities for how we want people to interact in the future office space.
I do think the future of office space is going to be aligned and oriented around collaboration even more than it is today. Some of the organic connections that you make when you're in a physical space together, and you have, short sidebar conversations and other connections that don't happen as easily in remote work. And so I think we'll see more effort, more investment, more time, and money put against that than we have in the past.
Well, I'm excited to see how things shift into the future. And, obviously, in coming from a world and a background that's all about creativity, I'm really interested to know more about your experience in having art as a part of the office environment. How do you like to handle that from your experience in art selection for your projects?
I think that it delivers a bunch of really key advantages. It creates a mindset and an awareness that drives openness and creativity, which is exactly what we're striving to do as a software company. It absolutely instills a sense of pride and inside the employee base, because it's unique that a company of our size would have art experiences scattered throughout our space. And I think people find that interesting and different and unique. And all those elements are useful when it comes to recruiting new talent, which is the most important thing that we do. It also, I think, enhances our brand in the community at large, being known as a company that thinks that way and approaches the world that way. And so it has all kinds of unique advantages that I think are why we decided to do it in the first place.
Is there anything related to art that you wish you knew more about?
Oh, geez, I wish there was a lot. I wish I knew more about art. You know, I'm married to an artist, and so I have a sense of her practice and obviously how she goes about things, and we spend a lot of time in the art world, but you know I find art to be endlessly fascinating, and so it would be um, lovely to spend more time on it, to go to more openings, to go to more galleries, to go to some of the cool shows that are going to start coming back around now that the pandemic's sort of ending. So yeah, I um I find it endlessly interesting.
It must be fun to be able to see behind the scenes. Not most people get that perspective. So that's pretty cool. You get to see what's going on in the studio.
Absolutely.
Do you see any trends happening in your sector specifically? And how do you build that out for the future?
Yeah, I think as we look to the future, we certainly are going to expand internationally, and the idea of having you know uh, ancillary office location in Europe or Asia is most likely in our future. And so we'll want to extend the same approach that we've taken in the US into those locations. We're also building out an engineering center of excellence in Calgary, Canada, right now. We've made our first hires there, virtual at this point, but we will be expanding into a physical space over time. And so, in all those locations, we want to apply the same sort of model when it comes to the value of art and the, implementation of that. So that'll absolutely be part of our plans. And in the broader tech world, I think from the big guys like Google and Facebook and Amazon, all the way down to companies like our size, I do think that you see a pretty consistent trend of companies embracing the value of art in their physical locations. I think it's a trend that will continue and that will expand, and you know the value is clear and the benefits are clear, and so it'll be something that continues to expand. And I think it's good for the technology world, and I think it's good for the art world too.
Absolutely. I'm curious to know what's the value of an art consultant or curator? What does that bring to the table for you when you're going through this process?
Company like yours is so much more plugged in and aware of the art community, new artists that are up and coming, artists that have recently produced great work, artists that fit into the brand experience that we're trying to create and that align with it and optimize it. The value is your expertise and your connections and your understanding of the art world and your ability to present um, you know hundreds of options that we can consider as we're selecting a collection of art that makes sense for a space like ours at Zipwhip or any tech company or business. Also, the value of contracting and managing the acquisition of the art from the artist, the shipping and distribution and implementation of the art in your space, being able to handle that seamlessly without having to have us do contracts and elements with all these different artists. There's a real value there that I think a lot of people don't understand.
Well, our research team, our curatorial team, and our acquisitions department are very grateful to hear that right now. So thank you. But if we had a system where you or your project team could sift through artist portfolios, is that something that you would be interested in?
Well, of course, I think if you could automate and make it more efficient to, do keyword searches or, color or type or technology or medium, all of that would make the selection of the final pieces more efficient. I think if you could do some level of self-service curation, I know that's something that you guys envision in the future. And so, yeah, I think that would be a good thing. I really personally value the trend of seeing more art in the business and technology world. I do think that it's one of the great values that art brings is the sort of the way that it can open people's minds and awareness and understanding of the world that they live in and how they interact with people. And so I I'm a big advocate of installing and embracing the art world inside of the business community. And so I hope to see that happen in an increasing amount over the next several years.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. And then one final question I have on it's really more of a personal question, but considering what we've been through in the past year or more, what have you learned from the pandemic or experienced? What are you going to bring with you into the next stage of an iteration of who you are and where we're going? And what are you going to leave behind? What have you learned through the pandemic?
Boy, I have a new appreciation and value of social connection at a physical level, of being able to touch and hug and connect with people, shake hands, be in the same room together. The art, the act of brainstorming around a whiteboard is a
I miss
completely
that so
different
much.
experience,
Yeah.
right? Than trying to do that via Zoom. And so, boy, I take away that there's a place for that, and it's super valuable. And figuring out how to leverage that more aggressively as we go forward is something that I care about. It's just not the same doing all these Zoom meetings, right? I mean, you don't have the same level of connection with people. I think. I mean, it has the advantage of being easy and sort of effortless, but it has the disadvantage of feeling maybe a little less weighty or real. And so I don't know. I'm hoping to leave that feeling behind and reconnect in a more complete way with people, and hopefully find a balance, a hybrid of the best of both in the future. That probably is going to be a way going forward for business. I think for a long time.
Awesome. Well, love to hear that. I think we all could use a little bit more human connection in our life these days. And for our listeners, is there a website or LinkedIn profile? What's the best way for people to find you if they're interested in learning more about what you're up to?
Sure. Well, I mean, our URL at Zipwhip is www.zipwhip.com. You can check out what we do there, and my Twitter handle is at Scott Heimes, so you can check that out. Or same as LinkedIn at Scott Heimes. So
Awesome.
Hopefully you can connect with me there. Look forward to it.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for being on the show today, Scott. And definitely check him out. Check out the great work that Zipwhip is doing, and Scott Heimes on LinkedIn or Twitter. Thanks again for being on the show today, Scott. Appreciate you, and have a good one.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon.